you have not become a patron of the Geocache Talk Network, what are you waiting for? Patron levels start as low as a Bison Tube level at $3 a month. To sign up is easy. Simply go to the Geocache Talk website and click on the Become a Patron button, or go to patreon.com/Geocache Talk. Patrons now get the famous Blackout coin, invites to special events, and other really great items throughout the year. Become a patron today. Have you subscribed to FTF Magazine yet? FTF Magazine is the #1 geocaching magazine available. It is a quarterly magazine that you can be part of. Submit your geocaching milestones and adventures to be published. FTF Magazine is also interactive with puzzles to solve and the hunt to find Spartacus. If you can solve the puzzle or find Spartacus, then you will be entered in to win a special pack tag. Every new subscription, you will receive a special swag pack. Subscribing is easy. Just visit FTF's website, ftfgeo.com. Don't miss out and subscribe today.
Hello and welcome to Challenge Talk, part of the Geocache Talk Network. You can watch the show live on the first Sunday of each month. Feel free to jump over to YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter to watch the broadcast live and join in the wonderful and active chat room, or listen to the entire show later on your favorite podcast player.
In this episode, we'll be looking at some common questions you've been sending in about challenge caching and statistics. We also have prizes to give away each show to our listeners. Between each show, be sure to email your challenge cache finds to challengetalkpodcast@gmail.com and you could be a winner.
And later in the show, we also play our special game exclusively for our live audience, the Wheel of Challenges. So listen live, get your email app ready, and follow instructions when the time comes so you can have a chance at winning the grand prize, a 1-year membership to Project GC.
And later on, we'll also highlight some of the challenge caches you found, and someone will win our monthly giveaway.
And we are your hosts. We are Emily, to my left, and Geoff from Cache the Line.
Hello.
How has your month been?
Oh, it's been great. I went on vacation, so I had lots of time for geocaching. And I even got to go hiking with my brother and my 8-month-old nephew, and he got his first cache with us.
Hey.
Interestingly, our first cache was a challenge cache, and since he's 8 months old, he's nowhere near qualified for it. So then technically we went to another one, which was his first official cache. Yeah. But also on the trail was a challenge cache for having enough attributes for caching with kids. And so I got to find a caching with kids challenge cache with a kid. So it was great.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Especially plus lots and lots of other caches.
Yeah. And being a first find, like it's always great to introduce more people to the game.
That's right. That's right. How about you? How's your month been?
Well, I'm still working on, well, it'll take a year, but I'm still trying to work on filling that 26 finds per day date found year grid. There's still a whole bunch of days to fill up, but I'm just kind of casually working on that because I don't think I've got enough just within town to complete the entire year of 26 finds per day. And with gas so expensive, like, oh, come on.
Yeah. Yeah. How about it?
Stretching that one out. Next year, the next loop around should be a lot easier.
Good, fun.
But also, like you, there's the Academy Passport, the Challenge Academy Passport, and I'm working on that.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that has been so much fun. I don't know if you guys saw on social media. I've got my giant tracking, several pages here, tracking what months and years I found caches from. Yeah, this has been very, very fun.
It is cool because there have been some people who've shared photos of how they're tracking progress as well. And, it's one thing to mark off a box on that passport, but it's another thing to have to actually track your progress.
Oh, it's huge. So on this cache or vacation road trip, I mean, I'm glad my husband was driving. I spent so much time making these grids and figuring out my plans for attacking the passport. Yeah, so it's and you guys are doing it too. You guys out there are preparing for Challenge Academy by doing this. One awesome thing about my vacation, we've got Railroad in the chat tonight, but I went to an event hosted by him. He's like, "Hey, can I get your picture for the passport?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh," I was starstruck that someone asked me for my picture for the passport. So you guys, this has been so much fun.
Yep. And I'm close to 250 finds. I'm almost at 40 DT combos. Still need to get more counties. See, I'm jealous of some of you people who live in states that have so many counties, small counties all close together. Ontario is huge. You got to drive like half an hour at least to get to another county. So 10 counties.
It's interesting what parts of the passport are easy for some and not for others, you know?
Yeah.
And that's why we're here. Look at this. We just put out this piece of paper. And look what it's getting all of us to do, you know, between May 1st and July 16th, we're all just running around doing what this paper says. I love geocaching and challenges.
The extra challenge. Yep.
Yeah.
And Mini Meg was asking where to find the passport for the event, and the link itself will be in the show notes for this episode, but you can check social media for Geocache Talk. We've got some posts announcing it and the links to the PDF. And occasionally there might be updates to the PDF, so you might be able to check back and check the last update date. There could be a couple of wording updates, or there is a frequently asked questions page on the second page, which answers common questions people have about qualifying and all that stuff. So
sure, some of these spots are like
links.
teeny tiny, you know, explanations of what we want you to do. So the FAQs answer, what do these teeny tiny boxes mean? Yeah,
it's a lot to fit on one square image.
Yeah, even those paths are crossing each other, kind of crazy. But it's fun.
Yeah, we wanted to have fun with it and provide something a little extra for people to do leading up to the event. So keep working on it, and remember, share your progress. We've got that one geo trail, which is all scavenger hunt photos. So share your progress on social media, tag us, and use that hashtag Challenge Academy to let us know. And there are prizes, and they're all explained on the passport as well.
Exciting.
So we love to hear from you. And as usual, if you have any questions, big or small, then remember to email us at challengetalkpodcast@gmail.com. And we'll do our best to address them, answer them, explore them, have fun with them. You never know. So we also, every episode, update the statistics or share the updates to the statistics listed on Project GC about challenge caches. And so this afternoon, according to Project GC, as of June 5th, we now have 7,924 active scripts. These are the individual scripts that handle all of the challenge checkers in the system from the entire history, archived as well. And that's up 148 from last month, which is less than the prior month. But there are now 41,404 unique challenges, and that's up over 1,000 from last month.
Awesome.
I think that's a record.
Yeah.
These are the unique challenge ideas. So parameter sets. You might have multiple challenge caches published around the world that are all based on, say, one jasmer or one fizzy grid. That would be one parameter set. So that is over 41,000 now. We have 51,080 active tags, which is up from 49,650. We crossed the 50 and 51,000 mark. Up 1,430 active tags. Those tags are unique GC codes. So that is either 1,400 new caches or caches about to be published, which again is just more than twice last month. It's going up. That's huge. That is awesome. As for active challenge caches that have been published, we have 34,068 worldwide, and that's just doing a search by challenge cache attribute, and that's up 740 new challenges in 1 month worldwide. That might also be a record.
Cool.
Yeah, that's more than twice last month as well. Wow.
Yeah.
Challenge caches have been busy.
That's awesome. I went to find them. they're not here in my area.
She's got to be able to travel worldwide.
I need to keep traveling.
Traveling was free.
Oh, if only.
So we've got a couple of news items to cover as well. Since last month, Signals Labyrinth, the new location, is starting tomorrow, June 6th.
Yeah.
And they have shared a blog post describing it And so the next phase, we will be entering the swamp. Signal has exited the forest and is now heading into the swamp. The points for collecting the souvenirs have changed slightly. So now the points for finding a Signal's Labyrinth item they lowered it slightly to 50. And the next highest now is the letterbox. So letterboxes give you 30 points, and any cache with 10 or more favorite points or mystery cache will give you 25. And then any log will give you any found it will give you 15 points, and an adventure lab. Each location will give you 5. So
they're including events. That I feel like events have been kind of excluded a lot lately from their promotion. So that's back in play.
Yeah, I remember seeing a few people mention that they didn't get points, I think, for attending events last month, or maybe it could have been a bug, I'm not sure. But yeah, they're explicitly stating now 20 points for attending an event.
Great.
So there's your goal. Got to get out of that swamp.
We can do it. And Cache Fest is included in the time frame, the 2-month time frame for the swamp. So those of us going to Cache Fest, I think we have a leg up.
There's going to be a whole lot of finds logged on that week. Last Sunday, if you didn't know, was GeoCoin Talk, brand new podcast, and they premiered that last Sunday. So watch for that one. You can still find that on the Geocache Talk channel. It's recorded, so you can watch it after the live stream.
I thought that was fun, and it made me want to get out my collection and find my 5 favorite geocoins. You know, 5 is a low number compared to my whole collection. But I even got some in the mail, and I was looking at them and saying, well, this is why I really like this one. It gave me kind of a pause to appreciate the coins that I have and why I like them.
Yeah, and it's great to see so many designs because it gives you different ideas. Every artist kind of has a different style, something unique about them, so it's neat to see that and then kind of get some ideas if you're creating your geocoin.
Right. Yeah, I actually had a little bit of inspiration. I realized one element of what I think I would do if I designed my own geocoin. So I'll hold that tight because who knows how many years it'll be till that happens. But I think I have an inkling of where to start.
That's good. And other big news, this is our 24th episode. That's 2 full years of Challenge Talk.
Yeah, congratulations.
It's gone by so fast.
I can't believe it, right?
There's a compression effect with these last 2 years with the pandemic and everything, so it's just crazy.
Yeah, and we just keep plugging along because geocaching is timeless, and it proves to be a great pandemic activity. And so we just keep geocaching and have plenty to talk about on this podcast. So thanks to all of you who have been a part of it. Some of you since the very beginning. It's been great.
Yep, for sure. And it was great to keep up all the challenges in geocaching throughout the pandemic. I mean, it was like one of the only hobbies that was barely affected by it, unless there were restrictions on travel, but you could still even find stuff within your neighborhood if you wanted to. Yeah, in most places.
We found a way.
Yeah. So this month's topic, we are just going to run through a number of comments and emails and questions that have come through our inbox over the past while. And so we're going to explore a couple of Project GC functions. And if you're in chat and you have any questions or comments or clarifications, by all means, let us know. And as always, as we always say, email us, challengetalkpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll collect those up. And I think we'll do more Q&A grab bag episodes in the future.
Right.
So first off, we have a neat little inspiration that Kazoo Otters has sent in. It kind of connects with Merlin 1392.
Yeah, this was really cool as we were going through our emails.
So Kazoo Otters has said, last month I was trying to publish 3 new challenge caches, but it wasn't working. My great idea didn't work within the guidelines. Drat. What to do with built cache pages that wouldn't be published? I was struggling with what challenges I wanted to do with my partially built pages. I listened to your challenge podcast and heard about the theme challenges. I started thinking about themes. Within a day, I had an idea for 2 challenges. The Michigan Winter Wonderland Challenge, which is GC9RKKS, and the Great Lake Challenge, which is GC9RKJW. Both use related attributes to qualify, and both are related to a Michigan license plate themes. And it was kind of interesting because last month, Merlin1392 wrote in to say that he had found those 2 challenge caches in May.
Yeah, so 2 of our listeners, we have inspiration from the show, and then someone using them to send in their challenge finds. So that's great, you guys.
Yeah, and these are good ones because the Winter Wonderland Challenge, just as you would guess, the theme is winter-themed attributes. So you need to find 50 caches of each of winter-friendly or available in winter attribute, skiing required, snowshoes, and snowmobiles required. So basically all of you, like up to 200 caches, you could potentially find 50 caches with all 4 attributes. Right. Good luck with that. And the other one is the Great Lake Challenge, which the theme is water. So you need to find 50 caches for each of boat required, swimming, or wading required. So 150 tops. So simple, easy to understand, but nicely themed.
Nicely
which is
themed.
Great.
Yeah, I really enjoy challenges with the attribute themes.
Especially when it's a combination. I think I mentioned in a prior episode, we have one where somebody, he takes his dog out paddling quite often. And so he placed a challenge to find caches with dog friendly or dogs allowed and boat required. How many caches do you know that are boat required and dog allowed?
And dog friendly, right? Right. So it's really just about building a story around your theme.
Yep. So let's take a look at a first question. And I know this has come up a few times in the past where, if you're trying to fill out, well, I'll just read the question. The question is, I worked hard to qualify for a Fizzy grid, but now when I recheck, there's a DT combo that's empty that I know that I found. How do I know what changed? Well, found this very cool tool from Project GC that I actually didn't know existed until it was pointed out this month. It's the DT history page. It's a tool that you can get to from the tools dropdown on Project GC. It's in beta, and it's paying members only, but it gives you a breakdown of pretty much your entire find history and the dates that you found the caches and what the DT was when you found them, plus all of the changes that have happened over time. Where's a good one here? Let's go right down to recently, because I think there were some. There's a good one. So
wow, so that's 5 different changes there. 5 different boxes.
Since it was published in July 23rd last year, it's been changed 5 times, and when I found it, it was in the middle. So it gives you the history of the difficulty and terrain and when you actually found it. And this was something that I really wanted to see. Like, I thought, why not, if the history is there, why not show it? And so I guess Project GC thought, hey, this is a tool we should actually incorporate. So if you really want to find what DT has changed, you could do a search. You could try to find 2.5 1.0 and then search through the entire list of caches with their DTs until you find one that looks like it's changed. Mm-hmm. So there was one I think I just passed that I found it as a 1.1, and it's now a 2.5 1.0.
Wow.
Right, so
maybe an owner who's figuring out what 1.1s really mean afterwards.
Yeah, that's a big difference. So there's a good tool to use. If you found a hole, you might be able to convince a cache owner that, hey, when I found this cache, I had qualified, and now I don't because somebody bumped a terrain by 0.5 point.
Right. I was going to say there's not much you can do. You like you said, you might be able to convince someone, but it does satisfy curiosity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I was really interested in that. I think I went through and tried to find the longest one. I forget where the longest one, how many updates there were, but yeah, no, that I think is a really useful tool now.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Oh yeah, I just found one that's gone through 7 changes. To be fair, you never really know why the DTs would change, and if you were to ask Jesse, I think he would be absolutely furious.
Yeah,
that the DTs have changed.
Right. That's a lot of changes. Is that someone who's responding to the changing of the area that, has that area changed that much over time?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And HQ just put out an episode of their podcast and they talk about some of that stuff. Some of the lackeys give their opinions. And one of the opinions, which I kind of agree with, is rate it for the hardest it will ever be. And then it's a bonus if it's not that hard at other times.
That could be interesting because that could also apply to things like 5 terrains on a small island where half the year you've got to use a boat, but then the other half is just a short walk.
Walk on the ice.
That's one reason a lot of people put those island caches as like terrain 3 or 2 or lower because, well, you can just walk to it in the winter. Why should I reward you with a 5 terrain? That's a whole other controversial topic.
Yeah, right.
If you have opinions and thoughts, post a comment below.
Exactly. And we do have some comments in there. But if you're changing it back and forth throughout the year based on the season, that could affect folks. Something to consider if you care.
Yeah, I think there are some cache owners who regularly change the DTs on a seasonal basis. I don't know if I'd advocate for that, but if they can't, if they're allowed to, then what's to stop them?
Nothing's stopping them. Yep.
Yep. So here's another question that I actually just came across today, and I hadn't looked into it till just now, and it is actually pretty interesting. So the question: why does Project GC's signed but not logged found list show a green check mark on a challenge cache I don't yet qualify for? So we mentioned in an episode a while back that there is a tool on Project GC that once it loads, there we go. In your profile stats, you can look at the challenges tab, and as you find geocaches that you don't yet qualify for, you can post a note saying that I've found it, I've signed in, I don't yet qualify, and then in the future you can come back and post your find log. So what Project GC does is they know all of these logs, they have them in the system, so they will look at the challenge caches and say, hey, you haven't found this cache, but you've posted a note. And so they assume, for generally speaking, I think it's a good assumption that means that you've found the cache and just haven't logged it found. Mm-hmm. So under that challenges tab in your profile on Project GC, there's a challenges tab, and scroll down, you've got this list of found but not logged as found. And in that right column, there's the red dash and a check mark. And that's just kind of lets you know that, hey, you've posted a note to these caches, and we've run our checkers on them, and it looks like you qualify. But the weird thing is, this little icon links to a checker. The problem is sometimes there's a green check mark when there shouldn't be.
Okay.
And so somebody was asking about this, and even just looking through mine, I did find one that does have that issue. So for this particular one, okay, maybe not. It's not a green check and I qualify, but the reason applies here. So with this particular cache, there's one link, but if you open up this cache, we've discussed this a little bit with the Project GC browser add-on.
Multiple checkers.
Yeah. So this cache has 2 checkers associated with it and one in the description. So this one, you can see it's got 32 green and 136 negative, is the second one in the list. And so this is the second one is the one that the cache owner has created for everybody. And this one is probably something that somebody else has tagged. My guess is on that list on Project GC, it shows that one link as to the latest checker that was tagged for that GC. So what a lot of people are doing is if they see a green check mark and they click on that checker, but that challenge cache has more than one checker, it's taking them to the wrong checker. It might not be valid or accurate. And so you might, for that checker, there might be a green check mark, but the proper one, there isn't. Does that make sense?
It does.
The way around that really is just go to the listing itself and check out which checker the owner has added to the description, what the official one is.
Because that's the one that was built for that challenge.
Mm-hmm. And because there's no way for the cache owner, at least at this point, to define which checker is the official checker, the one that's approved by the cache owner. So there could be 5 checkers. Which one's the right one? The one that the cache owner puts in the description. Not necessarily the one on that checker list. So that was a neat discovery.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. There's only one link there. Moving on to another question. How do I make a list of geocaches that will fill my next Fizzy grid and filter to certain cache types or sizes? Now, I think, Emily, you were really looking for this one.
Right, because it's what I have found is, so I filled my Fizzy grid once, but how do I find for more than one? Because when I've gone to this tool and I say apply it, it says, congratulations, you filled your Fizzy grid. You don't need any more. But I want to turn my 1s to 2s and my 2s to 3s. And so that's where I was struggling with the tool.
Yeah, and we had mentioned this on a prior show, but we just kind of took a fleeting glance at it. So on this is the Map DT Matrix tool. So under Tools, there is an option for Map DT Matrix. That will take you to this page, which allows you to look at your Fizzy grid with certain loops. So the default settings will just be your name and your and caches within a certain location, and that'll give you your DT grid, and by default tell you next options. So it gives you your DT, and then it'll tell you at your current loop, for me that's 40, so it's looking for 41. It will also search and give you a result of all of the caches that will help you qualify for your next one. So for me, it'd be 41. So they give color coding on the DTs and then drop them all into the map below. That's the default view. So if, say, and it's always going to be your minimum. So based on the selection that you're looking for, in this case, your default DT matrix, you won't be able to say, tell me what can help me qualify for loop number 20 when you've already got 40. Doesn't make sense. So what you can do is in the add filter drop down, click the loop option. Again, this is for paying members only. Why it's so great to have a PGC membership. You can put in a loop number that's greater than your current loop. So if I were to put loop 40, that would produce the exact same result. So if I say I was going on a trip and I wanted to get to loop 45, I could put 45, and that would give me it would tell me which grids I need to complete to get to 45, for one, and it would give all of the caches in that search result that match all of the DTs needed to get to loop 45. So that loop filter option is what you want.
Awesome. Sometimes it's so easy, but there's so many details. You can just get hung up like that.
Yeah. Sometimes it's fun to explore, but sometimes there's so much it can be overwhelming. The other trick to this is that, say there's a challenge for completing 2 Fizzy grids of regular-sized geocaches. In this case, what you want to do is add the D/T type and size, because this is the one that defines the DT matrix itself. So the DT type and size, and let's say you want all regular-sized geocaches. You'd select regular, say loop. I'm just going to put loop. Let's not use loop. Let's just use my current amount and hit filter. And now it'll tell you, of all of the regular caches you found, this is your current DT grid. Now you can see which loops you need to find for your next complete Fizzy. And it'll give you a result of how many there are that match. And for me, there's 1. So,
no pressure.
So that's how you get that. What I found confusing at first was that there's also a cache type size filter, which is almost identical to the DT type size.
Mm-hmm.
The cache type size is, it filters the qualifiers. So first thing to think of is the DT type size. That defines your matrix, what you're actually trying, the fizzies that you're trying to complete. And then the cache type size filters all the qualifiers to a specific type. For example, if I was on a trip and I wanted to get, let's say I was still looking for the regular size and I wanted to work on that DT fizzy, but I don't want to see qualifiers of every single cache type. I just driving through, so I might not want multis or letterboxes. I just want traditionals. So I'd say cache type size. I want to choose traditional cache and now hit filter. I get the same DT matrix, but, well, Canada, Ontario, not a very good example. The map would only show caches that I could find that would qualify for the next fizzy loop. So there's kind of two filters going on, and it can get kind of confusing, but that's kind of how to think about it.
Great, thanks.
It's a great tool. It is especially for going on trips. We got a number of comments and questions and ideas in from Cody Cache, who's been listening for quite some time, and so thought we would address a few of them as well. Mm-hmm. He has said he says, I know most challenges are rather specific and each require their own planning. Meanwhile, the Fizzy, Jasmer, and Delorme start to naturally fill up over time. So what are some general challenge caching tips and strategies? Do you have any that you can think of first of all?
I tend to just go geocaching and then my mic. When I encounter a challenge cache, which, I frequently use that Project GC map based on my home location and where I might be going. So of course, where I might be going changes all the time. Then I look and see what might I need to do? What can I try to accomplish? Or even, like we all do, you sign the log when you get there and then keep, working towards it later. So a lot of times I just spend time seeing what the challenges are out there. And then that gives me some inspiration. The same as this Challenge Academy passport. You tell me what to do, and then I'm going to have fun accomplishing that. So that's generally the approach I take.
Yeah. Yeah, like knowing what's out there certainly helps to prioritize your targets.
Yes.
That'd be probably my first suggestion, especially on road trips.
Exactly. You can stop and do them all and never accomplish anything, because if you're just stopping for all these, roadside caches, you're not going to get variety in there. And usually variety is what's needing to be accomplished for a lot of challenges. And so, yeah, it's about passing up all the other ones to make sure you get ones that are unique and can really help you out.
Yeah. The worst feeling is when you go back over and say you find another challenge and you're looking for qualifiers and you discover that there was the one qualifier you need and it was right on the roadside that you were just there last month. No.
Exactly. Oh, I know. Always. There's always going to be one like that.
But so here's the other thing. How would you know to stop to find that, first of all? Well, the other one is to prioritize generally considered rare statistics. So things like old geocaches. Look for like the first 5 or 6 years of geocaching placed in those years. Or super high favorite counts. There's a lot of challenges based on those. Basically, any statistic that is very rare. Right. I tend to run through a similar search each time I go on a road trip. Like what are some of the rarest ones that I just might want to bump up that statistic for potentially difficult challenges in the future. So yeah, making a note of those and bookmark lists. If you're going on a trip, create a bookmark list and then add in your targets without worrying about whatnot, and then you can kind of filter them down for feasibility.
Right.
But if you see it, don't miss it. Stick it in a bookmark list, because then even if it's like 5 years down the road, you'll still have it in that list and you go, oh, I forgot about that one.
Exactly. I'm always filtering, like looking at my app map through the lens of a bookmark, so that I know get rid of all those other ones that are, yes, they're geocaches, yes, they're fun, but that's not what I'm focused on today. And so I can make sure as I'm driving through a place, oh yeah, this one, because we have so many bookmark, we naturally have a lot to keep track of. And so those bookmarks are going to keep me on track, especially when I look at them on the map view.
Yep. And Just Finding Our Way added that little comment about don't bypass larges.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with that. When our vacation was over, we had 2 days of a drive home. And so I put the geocaching map on larges only. And that was a lot of fun. That gave us a completely different focus for that drive home. And I found some cool caches,
Well, that's the thing. Like, large caches are so rare. And because they're large, usually they are really cool in some way. There's almost a curiosity about, how are you able to hide this large geocache? Let's go check it out.
Exactly. And each one that I did that with was completely unique.
And
we got the bucket in the ground. We had a cooler at a farmer's farm.
Bucket hanging in a tree.
Yeah.
And one other aspect to this as well, for traveling, especially for coming up this summer, if there's a lot of people coming in from a great distance to Cache Fest, look for things like challenges you might want to complete that are based on traveling. So border crossings, whether it's state or provincial or country, even counties. Maybe if you don't get out of your county very much, there's a lot of challenges that are about finding quantities of caches in other regions. So consider that too. Especially because ours, we have we've got a few travelers, so they've placed a number of challenge caches that are just finding one cache in individual U.S. states or 3 countries or something like that. In the West, that's not easy because there's like 4 countries, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something like that. North America, at least there's 3. But got to get my numbers right. But so consider that as well. If you need to get a certain count in a certain region, book half a day to find a power trail in a certain county. You can knock off a few things like that.
You said...
Oh, you're breaking up just a bit. Oh, we might lose Emily. Okay. When she gets back. Oh, I think you're back now.
Okay, I think I'm back now. So I don't know where it cut off, but an old type of challenge that if you encounter it still, it's a fun one to do. So as we're looking ahead to summer events is I forget what they might, maybe like a companionship or a friendship challenge where you need to go caching with a whole giant number of different cachers. You need to remember to put their names in your log. So as we're heading into summer event season, catch the names of everyone you're caching with, So there's just all kinds of strategies. There's a million things to keep track of. So just figure out which ones are the most important to you.
Yeah, exactly. So we have another one from Cody. We're running through a bunch from Cody tonight. We have another one. He says, are there certain years, months, or dates that are harder to find than others? To which I would say harder to physically find? Maybe. Over time. Who knows how people's strategies of hiding them have changed over time. But for looking for them, for targeting, we've got that advanced search. It's your best friend. And so you can look through the advanced search, especially if you are a premium member. You get a whole load of features on geocaching.com. Or you can have any approved app that has good filtering abilities, ideally if they've adopted all of the API functions. For example, I know there's one feature that Cachly has that is not on the website, and I'm kind of surprised that they haven't yet added it. But it is the ability to search by published date. And so if we were to look at Cachly, I've got it up on the screen now. You can tap in the filters in the top right, and you scroll down just a bit. They've got cache placed. He has added a cache published option for a start date and end date, which I find extremely useful if, say, you are really trying to get a first to find. You can look for a start date. Let's say today is the 5th. Let's say over the last 2 days. I know caches have been published over the last 2 days. So June 3rd, unfound, filter, and suddenly you get, there's a couple of FTFs available. So the June Fizzy challenge. That's another one that's popped up recently. So yeah, check out filter options that you've got on whatever app you're using. Any API based app hopefully should have all of the filtering options that Groundspeak HQ provides. And play with them as well, but the advanced search is your friend.
Right. This is completely unscientific. This is my grid for what I did over vacation. And randomly, you can see that in January, February, and March, there's hardly any caches hidden that I found. So, this is so random between 5 states. But I don't know. So in my 1-week vacation experience, the first quarter of the year, people aren't hiding caches. So I don't know if that's some random trivia for you. So yeah, that's why, just use the search. It takes the stress out of it.
Yeah. And especially for things like if you're trying to complete a jasmer, as one example, you can also create a list of the old caches, because published caches will never change. They might get archived, right, but they'll always be available. So for example, if I'm working on my jasmer, I've got an archive or a list containing all of the August 2000 geocaches that are at least still available in the world. And so now, if you really need to, you can view that on a map and you can see where they are. So maybe some of the 2005 caches, there's a whole lot more. You could drop them on a list and then view it on a map. And then when you go on a road trip or you go on a vacation somewhere, you'll quickly be able to see where those golden oldies are for easy access, especially if they're nearby.
And Just Finding Our Way says, I think in comment to my first quarter, that's because you need to come visit Arizona, New Mexico, Texas. Yes. So, depending on where you live, it could really influence the hiding in your area. That's a very good point.
Yeah. And which kind of ties into another one from Cody Cash, who has asked, are there any specific things or challenges to keep an eye out for? And the first one I would say is any challenges you already qualify for. Because the way I like to look at it is the challenge caches, you can find them, but if you already qualify for something, especially if it's relatively simple, like a Fizzy grid number 1, like one loop through, then those challenges are everywhere. So if you're going on a road trip, do a search for challenges and see if there's any challenges you qualify for, because those are immediately, you can find them. Especially what I like is if they're a high difficulty, like you've already accomplished some statistical accomplishment. Like say in Ontario, it's relatively easy to get to 40 Fizzy grids, but in some other state or province, it might not be. So it could be a really, really high difficulty. So now I've qualified for something I can find over there and have already earned that accomplishment. So if you know that you've already qualified for stuff, then keep them in mind when you're on a trip and target those as well.
Yeah. There's a cacher in my parents' area that hides a lot of challenges. And so every time I visit my parents, I take a look at that map. I'm excited to see what they've hidden since the last time I visited. And Bloody Cool has family in the same area, and so I saw that he found some challenges by this hider as well on his last trip to the area.
You just got a question from HS Kermdick. However that's pronounced. Is there a way to have your map show a combination of multiple lists? Unfortunately, right now you can only show one list at a time, but you could merge lists and then into a new list and then view that on a map. It's kind of a workaround, but there's no automated way to view multiple lists on a map.
Right.
We still have so many questions, and we love to get them. So remember, email us at Challenge Talk Podcast, and we will add it to the list. And maybe in the next show, unless it is super important, the next grab bag show will explore some more. Who knows what kind of new features Project GC might
exactly. That'll be the fun part of some of these grab bag shows. Gary told us. Yeah.
Husker Medic.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's like a bumper stumper almost. Oh, that game show. Anyway, so if we move on, let's move on to our wheel of challenges because it's game time.
All right.
Each month, one live viewer is selected to face off against the wheel for a chance to win the grand prize, which is a 1-year membership on Project GC. Again, so many features when you are a premium member on Project GC. To enter, make sure that you send an email with a subject containing "spin me," followed by your geocaching username in brackets, and the answer to the following question. The first verified user gets the wheel, and your profile will be checked live on Project GC. And if you qualify, you win. Now that question is, what terrain is the theme of Signal's next labyrinth? Have you found a cache in this particular terrain?
Yes. I'm going to say yes, I have. And I even just this morning randomly picked some of Joshua, the geocaching vlogger's videos to watch, and he did too in a video that I watched this morning. I think it was a recent video.
Yes, that was right. And he was wearing just regular shoes.
Regular shoes.
We got some hints coming out.
Made some choices on what to do and just went for it.
Once you get a little bit, you're like,
you just
forget it,
commit and just go for it. Yeah. There's a fun guess in the chat. Lava terrain.
The terrain is lava. That would be a great theme for a cache.
Let's see. We don't know. We don't.
Oh man,
That's
that would be
great.
good. You could do that in a swamp, because we have a first answer. We have one in from Just Finding Our Way, the first person to send in the correct answer, which is the swamp.
Yeah, the swamp theme. We'll see what the official title is when
they actually bring it out. It starts tomorrow. So let's bring in the challenge wheel, or the wheel of challenge wheel of challenges. Maybe it should be just challenge wheel. I don't know. Anyway, here we go. We have Just Finding Our Way. Let's spin that wheel. Wheel and spin. There we go. Ooh. For difficulty. Oh. It is GC 5C RR1, the bachelor's degree in geocaching. We have mentioned challenges like this in prior shows.
Sounds like quite the combo of requirements, if I had to guess.
Yeah. This one is published in Ohio. It's a pre-moratorium cache, which usually means more
Anything
difficult.
goes.
And it's a 4 difficulty, 4 terrain, the University of Geocaching. This particular one is kind of a pre-moratorium popular theme, which is collecting points for qualifying for certain accomplishments. And so in this one, you're trying to earn a bachelor's degree in geocaching, and there's a lot of a lot of options to earn points, growing in difficulty from relatively easy to very difficult. And so the checker will check your profile against all of these options and tell you how many points you have earned and whether you earn your bachelor's degree. So let's break out Project GC, and we put in Just Finding Our Way.
And he is a prolific cacher, so I'm going to bet on his win.
Yeah, share your guesses in chat. We should do that, a little poll before doing
right?
it. Will he win? Will he win? Just Finding Our Way has qualified.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. With 80 points, I believe it said. There's a lot to look at in the results. But if you view it, it shows you all of the results as well as the grid, a depiction of all of the qualifications, just in case a cache owner wants evidence. Whoa, what is that?
That is a lot of evidence.
It's 1,000 fines needed. That's why. So it actually lists out the first 1,000 fines.
Oh my gosh.
Qualification. It could be a useful tool to track your own progress on certain tasks, but
we've got a lot of people in the congratulations. And we have a lot of people in the chat saying they've graduated as well with their bachelor's and working towards their master's and beyond.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like, some of these older challenges used to be a lot harder than they are now. I know there's quite a few 5 difficulty Fizzy grid challenges still out there. And we have some owners in our area who will often archive old challenges and republish new ones, even if it's the same challenge but a higher difficulty or a lower difficulty, just to make it more timely for a current ecosystem of geocaching. So we will be in touch. We have your info, but we'll be in touch to make sure that you get your membership. So we've got a few other geocaches to highlight, because every month we can give a little bit of a congratulatory shout out to you, the listeners, who email us proof of qualifying and logging a challenge cache since the last show, and anyone who sends an email to challengetalkpodcast@gmail.com with the GC code having a found it log and a photo if you like, maybe a story as well, for that month will be entered for the prize giveaway for a Challenge Talk Geocoin. And I think we might be down to our last 1 or 2 available. I have one right here. This is how it looks. Every podcast in the network has one of these coins, and this one could be yours if you are the winner. So we've selected a few to highlight because we like originality and creativity. So first off, we have one from J6 Family. It is GC7AWH5, the Around the World Challenge ×2, X2. And in this one, your challenge, your total cache-to-cache distance must circumnavigate the Earth 2 times. You need to go around the world twice with your total caching distance.
Yeah, and they give that distance. I think they're basing this one on the equator. So the widest part.
Yeah, you could probably Google, get a few different answers. Your geocaching stats does tell you what your cache-to-cache distance is. And, this is an interesting one because challenge caches kind of throw a wrench into this cache-to-cache distance, right? Because if you're on a trip and you sign into a cache, but you don't yet qualify, and then 3 years later, you log it found because you qualify, suddenly your cache-to-cache distance jumps way back over there, away from home, and then comes back on your next find.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what, I went to Yellowstone on this vacation, and it is full of virtuals and full of earth caches. And I'm only about halfway logged on my earth caches. It's just, it takes time and thinking. And I've logged everything else because I'm like, I could worry about my cache-to-cache distance, but I'm just not going to. I'm going to log everything else that was easy to log and slowly work through my earth caches. So I cringe a little, but I hope that I've cached enough that a challenge like this, that's not really going to make or break my challenge qualifying. Yeah. I've done.
And what I do now is
qualify naturally.
Yeah, and I actually use a travel bug now to try to more organically track my actual traveling distance.
That's a good way.
You can visit them into caches, and it tells you the distance, so you have that choice to track.
Yeah, well, even I'm still pretty old school, and I typically log when I get home, not in the moment. And so by doing that, but then getting an adventure lab, the numbers just get all squiggly anyways. I mean, I know adventure labs, that's a whole other story. They don't have locations, blah, 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 blah. But yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think my stats are in order is the short thing to say.
Well, next up, we've got one in from Acorn Mama who has sent us in GC2TE10, the Full Boater Challenge. Full Boater. I don't know how you might pronounce that, but it's in Ohio. It's a 5-5, 5 difficulty, 5 terrain. And in this one, it's you need to find a cache in, I guess you could say, fairly common properties of caches. So it's kind of Fizzy inspired, but you're not intended to complete a full Fizzy grid. You're just supposed to find one cache in each of the difficulty levels, one in each of the terrain levels, plus one of each cache type. There's a list to choose from, so maybe not necessarily every single available cache type, but your standard cache types, and one of each cache size, and then a few other standard little rules. But Yeah, this one is good because, it's another kind of introductory challenge to things like fizzy grids and whatnot. And
Yeah,
that
and I
was
thought it was kind of cool because she said it was very confusing, but she ran the checker, she qualified, so it was all good.
See, a lot of people have that opinion. It's like challenges were more difficult before they were checkers because one, you've got to track your progress, and two, you've got to prove your qualification. As soon as checkers came out, don't have to do that now, so it's a lot more accessible, but it kind of loses that difficulty. We have one in from Sparky916, and it is GC1E8E6 Mystery California Challenge of a Century. And this is also a pre-moratorium cache. It was published in 2008, and this is a good example of one that we just mentioned. The challenge is to find 100 mystery caches. And if I recall, they also need to be puzzle caches. See, because it's pre-moratorium, they can do that. Mm-hmm. They would need to actually go through the list and say, nope, that's not a puzzle.
That one doesn't, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But there's no way just by that kind of description for a checker to say this is a puzzle and this is a challenge.
Right. Right.
There are attributes now, but that's kind of a different setup for the challenge. That's why we have attribute challenges these days.
Yeah. And this one, I think, unlike some challenges where it's at the posted chords, this one is not, and you have to solve a puzzle to get the chords.
Yep.
On this challenge one as well.
Which, at least in most places, if not everywhere, you're not allowed to do post-moratorium. For a challenge cache, again, you have to have the cache at the posted coordinates listed as a mystery, or the coordinates of the challenge somewhere easily available so you could add it as an additional waypoint if it's not at the posted coordinates. That allows you to make geoarts of challenge caches, which is awesome. And we have another one in from Zippertiff. It is GC8QARV.
Oh, I was wrong, you guys. This is the one where she said this one was confusing, but she just used the checker. So I had my people wrong. Sorry.
This one is a new one published in 2020, and this one I'd like this because it's self-contained, but it's also referencing the Project GC badge page on your stats. So in this case, you've got to have a certain number of caches to qualify for specific badges, but if you really want to see the reference, you can go to your Project GC profile and under the badges tab, you'll get a list of all of your current progress on a number of accomplishments, which is something you can use to also shape your caching. But all they did basically was form that challenge around that list of badges. But because they are accomplishments in and of themselves, you can just describe each accomplishment, and you don't even have to look at the badges. It's just make sure that you complete all of those requirements. Mm-hmm. And the checker, again, will do it all for you.
Right.
So that's a nice use of the Project GC badges. We have one more in from Kittycatch, who sent in GC7ZQYC. I'm Canadian, it's Z. It's the YCDIT. I'm not even sure what that stands for. I'm sure it's there somewhere. Challenge Series number 10, the Brain Teasers, 5 difficulty, 2018 publish. You can do it Tasmania. Because she's in Australia. And so this one is a mix of challenge caches of varying difficulty. You basically need to have logged a minimum of 500 mystery caches, which includes 100 with difficulty 3 or higher. It's kind of like a well-rounded challenge for DTs. Mm-hmm. It's like it's not just a certain number; you've got to have a certain type in there as well. But she sent over a little description of her finding it. Let's see, there is a picture to go with it that she's provided, and the view from this cache is just Wonderful. I mean,
Yeah, look at that.
Like,
That's a reward too.
what did she say? It took 1.5 hours to walk up to the top of Meehan Ridge Range to grab the cache. A tough climb, but worth it for the views and to make the find.
Great.
That's a good final reward. Just to see that view.
Beautiful.
So, congrats to Kitty Catch for completing that. And congrats to everybody. Thank you to everybody who sent in challenges this month. Keep doing that. We're watching, and we love to see them.
Right. We can't read them all, unfortunately. Some of you guys send in so many, which means you're doing some awesome things every month. We wish we could read them all, but we can't.
Yep. But it gives us lots of great ideas. And so the winner of everybody who has sent in challenges this month, the winner of the coin is... Do I have a drum roll? I don't have the drum roll loaded.
Oh.
Winner is Sparky916. Congrats. We will be in touch, and we will get your GeoCoin out to you ASAP. So remember to enter for next month. Send your email in before next month's show, and you can be entered into this draw. One last thing, always like to highlight the Iron Bingo Challenge. This is the last challenge that I published pre-moratorium, and this one is just basically a bingo grid of consecutive day caching based on certain attributes and property types. And there is a prize for people who complete the entire grid. And thankfully, the prize is now in its minting or moving into minting process. There's a GeoCoin if you can complete the full grid of all of these tasks, all of these accomplishments. And there are people who are working on it. Got a few messages over this past month. So it's doable, and it's still up to you. And there's even one from EJK PBR who has given us an image. He is half done the entire grid, so he's working hard on that.
Awesome.
Yep. So check that out. That is GC 3D5EB, and hopefully, I'm still working on it too, but I'm getting there. Pre-moratorium, you didn't have to qualify for your own challenge.
Yep.
So that's our topics. Do you have any other thoughts? Any other comments for our listeners?
Just keep going at this passport challenge. We are having so much fun. For any of the pictures for the photo scavenger hunt, tag us, Geocache Talk, and use the hashtag Challenge Academy so we can see what you're doing. And we are so excited. Can't wait to see you all in Memphis so soon.
And remember, some of those photos you might be able to do just in Memphis.
Right.
Last minute qualifiers.
Yeah, this passport is for the 16th, and so all of you who are coming before the 16th, you'll still have a few days to accomplish the passport.
Yep. It'll be great to see everybody. We have our next show on not June 5th. It is July 3rd is our next show. And then it's Cache Fest.
Woo! Can't wait.
That's going to be awesome. What a summer. Show notes, as usual, will be posted shortly after the show. So if you're looking for links and you want to see these caches that we've mentioned, then they'll be there. And as always, thanks for watching and listening. Thank you for everybody who's come to chat. It's an active chat room tonight.
Yeah, it was.
Don't always get to see every comment, but it's great to have you there. And as always, remember, it's not about the numbers. It's about the challenge.
Challenge accepted.
Good night, everybody. See you next month.
Good night.